Day 5. Kind of a gray morning outside. Let's see, you actually probably can't see very well, but just got into work this morning. I just was at the gym, feeling a little beat. I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning, but I'm going to rally through and looking forward to some really interesting stuff going on today at work. So besides that, I'm feeling pretty even keel. Life's been that delightful kind of boring where there's no actual drama. So I'm always okay with that. So today I thought I'd talk a little bit about meds. I have mentioned that I take medication. I've been taking it for a little over 2 years now. The medication I take is Lamictal. I'm not, being suggesting that people take that medication specifically, but that's the one that I take. It was decided upon in a mutual conversation between myself and my therapist. And I was really nervous to take medication. If you read my essay commits piece, you will know that when I was younger, I was watching a TV show. I don't know what TV show it was. It was some doctor's show where there was a psychiatrist on the show who had what they termed manic depressive disorder. And that doctor, she was on medication and she stopped taking her medication. And they showed this dramatic, which for me was traumatic to see, mood change between this very sort of dull, very quiet, very mousy person who then became this sort of very crazy, wild-eyed. She was banging on drums and staying up all night. And yes, I could go days without sleep when I was manic. And also I think of my bipolar disorder as part of who I am. And it does impact my mood. It does impact how I see the world, but it also, who I am is me. I have my personality, I have my way of being, and I was really, really afraid that if I started taking medication, I might lose that. And so it took me a long time, about 6 months of thinking and talking with my therapist and talking with friends before I made the decision that I was going to take meds. And what it does for me is it does not erase symptoms, and it also doesn't erase who I am. I do feel like I am still me. My personality hasn't changed. But what it does do is it sort of, if you think about it as like a really high wavelengths, it kind of like flattens out the waves and the experiences. So the highs and lows are kind of more compressed. I wouldn't say that there's any less or more distance between them, but it just makes it possible for me to function better when I'm really high or really low. And I'm just a lot more consistent as a result of that. And so I'm able to, since I take meds every night, I brush my teeth every night, I have an evening routine around that. And as a result of that, I've been able to find other routines in my life. I think I've talked about disclosure and, the ways that you can support somebody who discloses. I do think that whether or not a person's taking medication and what medication they're taking is a really personal issue. I'm willing to share, but not everyone is. And, how open a person is about how they're treating or not treating their mental illness is really up to them as a person with agency and as a person with the ability to make decisions for themselves. I think sometimes there's this sense that if someone has a mental illness, that the people are entitled to them. They're entitled to finding out information. They're entitled to asking questions, and they're entitled to telling people what to do. And I think that that's really frustrating for me. And so it's not something that I tolerate in my life. I can't think of anybody right now who I would feel really comfortable with if they asked me, have you been taking your medication? And, if I had some really erratic behavior, maybe I would be grateful if someone asked me, but I don't think I'd be happy in that moment. So I think it's really important to recognize that I take meds because I choose to. I could choose not to, and that would be my choice too. And I also think that it's important to recognize that it's not okay to joke about people being on or off meds. Like, if you say, oh, I'm off my meds today because you behave in a certain way, that can be really hurtful. And, I know that there's this sense that if it applies to us, we can make jokes about it. I don't make jokes about medication because I don't want to continue to further the stigma or the problems, even though it is something that I do. I appreciate it when other people that take medication for any reason, but particularly for mental illness, don't make jokes like that. I think it's hard enough to make decisions about medication. I think there's enough stigma around it. And so making jokes about it, in my opinion, is not appropriate. But yeah, so one of the things that I do think about is how much that I'm going to spend in a lifetime on taking medication. I am very fortunate to have insurance, and as a result of that, I don't pay a lot for my meds, but I monthly pay for my medication, and over time that adds up. And so I think that when we think about the intersection of class and illness of any kind, we have to recognize that it can become expensive. And I think about other costs that have come to me as a result of being bipolar, and maybe I'll talk about that another day. But in particular, medication is something that people have to spend money on, and it does add up. So anyway, those are my thoughts on medication, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Have a great day.